Howdy, friends. Welcome to another episode of the 10 Laws Podcast with East Forest. I am said Forest of the East. This week, I have a conversation with my dear friend, Elena Brower. Elena is a powerhouse who I met in New York City. We met on 11/11/11, as we've probably mentioned before. She's been on the podcast previously, and I've been on her wonderful podcast. But it was my first yoga-associated event. My friends were like, hey, we could put this event together in the New York Armory where you play music and Elena Brower teaches yoga. What a novel idea. And I said, sure, of course. I knew nothing about yoga at the time. I was like, you got it. I'll dive into that. And she walked in right as the class started, like a minute before, I remember, like a queen, and just commanded the room. And I just was like, her squire, her page in the background was like, yes. And I started playing, and that's how we met. And she's very generous, and we've just become good friends. So, 10 years. It's been 10 years. That's awesome. We reached the 10-year milestone as friends. So it's great to have her back. We recorded this before Christmas, as I did with most of the next series of podcasts coming out. And so we mentioned some stuff about that and the election in Georgia. But, you know, I think you can use your cognitive function to figure things out like time travel and where we were at on this Earth and in the solar system at that galactic moment when this conversation occurred. Just a few points of business before we dive in. I'm assuming you know, but the event in Salt Lake City on January 16th is now moved to May 1st. Deep apologies for that shift. That was because the county that houses that building, they own it, and they're commandeering it for hospital beds, and we could not find a suitable venue for our COVID compliance, meaning like we couldn't find another alternative venue that could do it the way we wanted to do it, which is with a lot of space. You guys are spaced out in a mandala-like function, and, you know, we can do it East Forest ceremony concert. So we're going to have to wait a bit. We are trying to add more cities, and those might be before that date. So thank you to all of you who are willing to shift to May 1st in Salt Lake City. I'm looking forward to seeing you. I was practicing, I was getting ready, and I have all sorts of new ideas and ways to approach this that I want to do together. Because essentially it's a laboratory of our hearts and our minds and how we dance together in this world. So we'll see you soon on that front. Otherwise, I'm working on lots of new music, some remixes, some collaborations, and of course, my possible album is being mastered right now. We're still finishing the mastering, but I ordered the vinyl. It's coming out ASAP. And I also recorded a little cover that I did on Instagram, and I'm thinking about releasing that too. So these sorts of things, my friends, these sorts of things. Otherwise, man, it's been an interesting start to the new year. As I have been predicting and sensing, things continue to deepen in the seas of chaos, in the seas of tilling the soil, and I think it will continue to do that. And that's why I'm urging all of you to work on that inner fortitude, that voice inside. You have to be able to hear it. You feel you're in your own truth and your own honesty and your own authenticity, and more than anything, our ability to simply listen. So for me, being creative and loving my partner and my family and my community and doing what I can in any way is helpful. But we're like taking a month off in January. We're not having anything to drink, just to do it, and it feels great. And I love taking saunas and feeling grounded and eating good food and having good counsel and sharing these moments with you. Speaking of, lastly, I did an Instagram, what's it called? Live answers and questions, I call it, a little AMA, on Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern. I will probably do that again on these coming Sundays. I'll try to keep that same time slot, 12 p.m. Eastern on Sundays on Instagram Live. It was fun to see you there. Am I still talking? This feels like there's so much going on in the world, and we're all just kind of like, there's this thing running in the background, like, is that really happening? It is, my friends. I'm here as the cosmic cheerleader just to say, when the part of you that's still in touch, you know, you're saying, hey, I'm feeling there's this really crazy shit happening, and I'm still feeling a cosmic connection to my purpose and my soul at moments. I'm still feeling at peace. Is that okay? I'm saying yes. Yes, it is okay. You're okay. And things are shifting dramatically, and you're okay. All right, let's dive into this conversation with my dear friend, Elena Brower. Well, nice to talk to you again. It's been a little while.
It has been a minute. I don't think we've spoken since early on in the quarantine, actually.
You're still in the Southwest?
Yeah, we moved here permanently.
Permanently? Wow,
this is it. I
congratulations.
bought a house. Yeah, we're here.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
How does that feel to have escaped New York? I always felt like it's hard to do it beforehand, and then afterwards it feels really good.
Dude, it was difficult and scary and risky. And in the end, I feel like I did the right thing for my family and for myself. And I'm torn. I'm definitely torn. Like, I love my city, but it's not my time to be there.
Mm-hmm. I felt every time this is just me, but every time I've moved to places that were more expansive, like I went from New York to Portland and then to Boulder, Utah, which is like basically no one, I expanded more and more, like creatively.
Yes.
Things really opened up.
Yes, I feel that is very true. I feel it's true for myself. It's true for my kid. It's definitely true for James. So yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, and I heard New York was changing a lot, and people always say that, but were you finding it was more personal about you, or that the city itself was starting to shift?
No, I was gone by mid-March, March 14th or so we left. So there wasn't a chance for me to see what was happening because I left very, very quickly. And I didn't wait to see how it would turn out. And I didn't hear great stories. But I also have a ton of friends who are still there, who are making a massive shift in consciousness. And they're going to change that city yet again and make it better.
Yeah, it's sort of the story of the city, right? It's like always goes through shit and then it reemerges and reinvents itself into relevancy.
Exactly.
Yeah, this time I have found for myself, and I feel like for everybody, it's about doorways opening up in your life, and it's how willing you are to see them and choosing which ones you want to walk through, because it's a lot of just sort of opportunistic change, whether you like it or not. You know, some of it's really painful, and some of it's can be really great, but it's about like something dying or going away so something new can be born.
Yep. That for me, that is kind of always the case. When we made the choice to come here, it was really fast. It was like in a 24-hour turnaround. And
really?
Yeah. We just were like, okay, let's get one-way tickets. We thought we'd be here for a couple of months. We didn't imagine that we would move here permanently. That happened over time.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. But it's how do you feel? Like, what's different about living there? How much does the place inform your own energy and your own growth?
Well, my meditations are now followed by gardening and plant cultivation, plant care for like a good hour. It's so much fun. And it's such quiet, good work, honest work. I love it so much. My plants and I have a great relation. And I don't know, what can I say? It's such a strange time. My kid is still in digital school.
We're all in digital school.
I've been in digital school for 10 years.
Exactly, since the iPhone came out.
Since anything. But I've been running my business from home from my laptop for a very long time. But for him, it's very, very real. It's very challenging. The way we communicate has gotten a lot more clear. He'll send me a TikTok video Yesterday it was one, an animated one, which showed a kid, all very, very simple line drawings, waking up 5:59 a.m. Really sad face, rubbing his eyes, trying to go back under the covers, and then emerging reluctantly, and then going to sit down at a desk, opening up the computer, pressing some buttons, and going from this very long face to, "Hi, I'm here, la 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 la." And then you watch in the window, the sun moves from east to west. And slowly, as the day ends, the kid sulks out from the chair. The long face comes back. And then there's homework. And it's written across the screen. This is due at 12. This is due at 5. This is due at 4. This is due at 3. This is due tomorrow. And you feel, upon watching this, by this, 45 seconds into the video, you feel heavy. I felt heavy. I felt the heaviness of, I'm sitting in front of a screen and I'm helping people. I'm serving people, in many ways, feeding people. I'm completely and utterly inspired, inextricably linked to the work that I'm doing. And then in their case, not at all. They're learning freaking whatever it is, algebra, biology. Like, some of it is for sure interesting. He actually loves his acting class. But, oh my God, there's no personal, purpose to it.
How do they pull off an acting class online?
It's so much fun. I have snuck to the door and I listen every now and again. He's so good. He's really good at it. He dives right into it. They role play, they do scripts, and it's unbelievable to witness. I was actually in one of his skits that he had to hand in at one point, which I was psyched about. I had to play a monster, of course.
There you go.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch because they're sitting in front of a screen all day. At the end of the video, the poor kid in the TikTok is getting yelled at for being on the computer.
Right.
It's like, holy fuck. They've been on the computer all day and now they can't visit with any friends. They can't see anyone. So what the fuck you want them to do? And I gave him anything he wanted with regards to technology so that he could stay in touch with his friends. And he's so thankful. He's so thankful.
Yeah, it's like a catch-22. I mean,
before
the pandemic, maybe the biggest criticism of school and stuff was that, it'd be so much better if it's experiential and you're out in the world. And now it's like you go 100% in the other direction where it's like
you're in your house.
Not even next to other people.
No, it's just, you're in your house. I feel a lot for the kids who don't have supportive parents. I'm just dude, whatever grade and then at the end of the video, the kid's getting yelled at for a grade. And I'm like, whatever grade you get, do it for yourself. Do it so that you can see the B or the A on the page and feel like you accomplished something. Don't do it for me.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I don't know about you, but looking back on my life and how much I cared about grades, none of it really matters in life path. I mean, I majored in film, for God's sakes. I'm not really technically doing that. It's just more about learning things and then stepping into the world and following what you're interested in and your bliss. There's so many directions to go that have so little to do with grades, really.
Yeah. I actually have had to make a big leap because I was a grade monger. I loved getting good grades. I went to an Ivy League school. I was very serious about school and education, and I wanted it all. So I had to I've done a lot of meditation on this, and I've realized that I am not this person. This is his own person. And he gets to prioritize what he wishes. And I just get to, be a little bird in his ear, speaking to him about his own, making himself proud, his own integrity and his own self-worth. So that's kind of the best I could do right now.
Yeah. And that's sort of what it is when you get more into designing your own life. It's about your integrity and your self-worth. Mm-hmm. There really isn't much else. It's not the what you do, but the how you do it kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's what I hope we would learn in school, as opposed to like, you got a 94 and someone else got an 82 kind of thing. It's like,
Word.
so what?
Yep. Yep. So what?
Yeah.
I had to really recalibrate that. I had to go back in time and shift some things for myself. And now I'm
Yeah.
good.
So what are you finding like in your community, people you're talking with, now that we're kind of deep into this great transition that we have been moving through, that people are coming up against, that maybe you're seeing have been some like blind spots in a way? And we all know what the challenges are, but I'm wondering where folks are maybe missing some opportunities that maybe are shared, common ground.
Well, I just actually launched a mentorship where I have the opportunity to help folks see where their work can be virtual and be as authentic as it would be in person by necessity. This is what we're doing right now. So why don't we just fall into it?
Yeah, what is that? What's it called?
It's called Essential Mentorship. You can find it on the mentorship link on my Elena Brower website. And it's ongoing. It's monthly. It's super accessible. Right now it's $33 a month. It'll go up in 2021. Donating a lot of the proceeds to my girls and to Girls on Fire leaders in Kenya. And I don't know. I think a lot of people, as far as I can see, are actually jumping on the chance to take their work more broadly because they can, to get more creative. And what I like to do myself is I like to blend the digital space with a lot of analog assignments. So go make some art, go write, go walk, go, do things that are outside of the screen time.
Yeah.
In service of what you're doing for screen time to inspire you and feed you and lift you and nourish you, nurture you. So that's kind of how I approach it. And I always have, because I've been online, like I said, for so many years, 10 years or so more, doing my businesses. And people are really taking to it. We have a lot of folks in there and they're finding the assignments and the prompts and the creativity to be very comforting. And then, there's going to be a community aspect where we can actually communicate with each other off of social media within the portal, which I think is even better.
Yeah, because a big part of it is, if you're looking at this holistically about yourself as an incarnate spirit and consciousness, is how much information you input in and from where. And particularly of late, there's a lot of interesting information about social media in general and sort of how it hits our brains. There's this idea of comparison, whether you like it or not. It's super powerful in just sort of your state of mind and what you're cultivating.
Yeah. I like to think about my parents a lot during these times, and I really appreciate that they gave me a lot of confidence early on, which serves me right now, because I can see where the comparison brain comes in, and I can see where, oh my God, that feels terrible to look at someone else's success. And then I instantly apply all of the yogic practices, not like breath work or, something physical, but meditative practices and mind training, mindset practices, to remind myself that there is actually no comparison. There's me, there's another person. And now I don't even look at other people doing the similar work that I'm doing. I just do mine. And then I go outside.
That's smart. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, why bother? When your attention, so like what you put your consciousness on, is the main commodity these days. That sort of mind calisthenics and self-knowledge is probably maybe the most important skill you can know in sort of the marketplace in the world.
That's what I feel.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm trying to teach the kid that too.
It's essential. And maybe, I mean, I feel like that's a bit of a blind spot as a country because a lot of us are sort of walking through it like sheep and they're getting hijacked in the mind. I think you see the symptom of that with various polarization. And I don't know if there was a lot of various conspiracy stuff going around. And I'm not trying to make it black and white where it's like it's true or it's not true, but it seemed to it caught on fire a bit as COVID started to increase, and maybe people were online more, and it's just easier for those memes to disseminate for yourself. What do you feel about that in general? The idea that for myself, just to set this up, in the past, like when 2012 was going around, I went through some phases where I went down some pretty deep rabbit holes, and I ended up at this alien conference.
I could totally see that.
Yeah. Well, also like 2008 was when I started on let's call it spiritual journey. So I was just full on. I was just hungry, and I was like, oh my God, what's this idea and that idea? And we both, saw 9/11 happen, and it's like, so you're into that thing, and that's a rabbit hole. And there are a lot of spurious things that went down. But
I love that word, spurious. Listen, here's the thing. There's so many great stories. If you look at JFK and his shooting, you could find a movie that fully lays out the reason why it's definitely this person and not this person. And there are 4 or 5 of those. You could look at 9/11 and find movies that show you that this was an inside job. And then you can find the ones that show you it definitely wasn't an inside. I mean, there's so many people proving. The way that I feel is that I don't want to see your YouTube video. I don't want to see your fabricated news brief. I listen to NPR for 4 minutes a day.
Why 4?
That's how long the NPR News Now is. Sometimes I'll do Up First, which is 13 minutes.
Okay.
That is the extent of my media ingestion. I have no interest in conspiracy theories. I have no interest in calling anyone else, any sheep, for example. And not that I'm saying that you were wrong in saying that. I don't want to call anybody wrong or right. I have my set of opinions, which are really anchored in my values. My values are very clear. And I'm not really interested in the conspiracy theories that polarize people. That does not feel fun to me, or creative, or intelligent. So I don't go there. And believe me, I was sent every single thing in the book from people that I love, like truly love, and still respect, and still, would hug right now. But we believe very different things at this moment, and that has to be okay.
Fundamentally, it has to be okay that people can believe different things, and yet we can love each other and be in a community together. I mean, that's sort of like, I think, was a bit more of a given in the past, and there some folks that's not the case anymore. Like, they're getting to a point where they feel, no, we can't share those views.
Right.
And it gets very strange, though, when you get into a public health crisis where, because I think the old adage is like, look, you can believe what you want as long as it's not hurting someone else, whatever you want.
Yeah, now it's hurting other people.
Right. Yeah. And then it sort of starts to feed. It's like a snake eating its tail then someone says, then you need to not do this behavior or do this behavior. And they're like, that's exactly my point. You're controlling my choice. And it gets real sticky.
You know what? Here's the fun part. Health is freedom. Good health is freedom. And if you really sink into those words, those 3 words, health is freedom, you'll wear your mask. You'll tell your kid to cover their mouth when they sneeze. And you'll do the things that you have to do in order to contain this thing as best you can. I have a crew here in Santa Fe with whom we hang. Those are the people. We don't hang with other people. Those are our people. All of us know that when we go out, we are masked and washing and careful. And those are the people that we hang with. And that's it. There's no other humans coming in and out. We are waiting this out and doing our part to keep it low and tight.
I heard from Raghu Marcus. He's part of Love Serve Remember. He's the boss
We were
man.
just on a call last night, by the way. Listen.
Oh, really?
They're going to get in touch with you because they're going to call you to help be an ambassador for the next projects. I told them to make sure they get in touch with you.
Well, yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, Raghu and I know each other well from the Ram Dass album.
Yeah. Make sure you email him and say, will you put me in touch with the girls so that I can be an ambassador? Elena said to do that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. He was talking about this idea of righteousness, and in India, I think they call it the golden chain. But that being like the main, like if there's one thing that you need to overcome for the spiritual journey, that's it. And I've been thinking a lot about that lately because it's like, that's all I'm seeing when I see those blockages. I'm like, do you have to be right? Can't you just loosen the grip on that? Or compassion being the antidote to that? It's like, look, maybe you believe that, but what about like, hey, I'm willing to not be right so that, other people can also be in this picture too.
Yeah. I actually have to, you could even hear in the tone of my voice just now when I talked about that whole matter. Like, I have to really watch out for that. And I think we all do. And I think the best way to counteract it when I smell it in myself, that righteousness, is just to turn to the other person who believes the other thing, whether they are supportive of the outgoing president or not wearing a mask, whatever, and just say, okay, I actually really understand where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with it, even though that's not how I'm going to roll.
Right. It's just putting yourself in some shoes. You don't have to agree with it, but you can embody it and feel it. Okay.
Word. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that since day one because I got real close friends who were in support of that president, who are very much against masks, who really feel that it's not necessary, who some of them even feel that COVID is a hoax in itself.
Yeah. It goes deeper, right? I mean, it's just how far do you want to go with it? Sure.
Yeah. So I just fully accept that that's the way that they're seeing it. And I still, if I see them right now, I would still hug them with my mask on and love them. Everything is always changing. It's a very short life, and I don't want to miss out on love or / hold an unnecessary grudge energy in my body, which is only going to hurt me.
And even to say, like, my own beliefs, to loosen my idea that I'm 100% right. Not to say that I agree with theirs, like, but you know what? I don't know everything. I've just chosen to take this path.
Right.
And that's what I'm doing right now.
Right. Because I have no idea. I have no
Because, it's the same energy of me being like, well, I'm going to let you do your crazy thing, but, I'm right, But I'm allowing it.
Totally.
So what do you think, if in that lens, is needed the most right now on an individual level?
Compassion. I've been studying a lot with Roshi Joan, Halifax. She's literally a mile away, but I haven't seen her. I'm just studying with her online.
Amazing.
Rewatching all the summer programming and really taking in her energy, her energetic field that she emanates through her teachings. And it really has to be about compassion. I have to feel that for the people with whom I disagree. I have to feel that for the child in that outgoing president. I have to feel that for all the children around him who are still pretending like they support him. Even though all history and many, many videos point to the fact that they don't. I have to cultivate that as best I can whilst maintaining my own values and standards for how I want to live my life, where I want to put my money and my resources and my time. I think
compassion for yourself too. I mean, that's a big thing for me. It's like, the inner life and the inner dialogue, in some ways, I feel like is where the real rubber meets the road.
Yes. Yes. I share a lot Judith Lassiter's second to most recent book. It's called What We Say Matters. And it's her deep dive into nonviolent communication. She studied a lot with Marshall Rosenberg. I cannot say enough about the help that I have gained from that book. Cannot say enough. And by way of her real focus, she teaches sometimes through Yoga Flow SF online. It's well worth your time to watch, because she'll walk people through sort of coaching them, training them through nonviolent communication. And the first thing in most cases that she says is, okay, I got the whole story. I got why this person did you wrong and this is happening, la la. Can you, in this moment, have empathy, practice empathy for yourself right now? Take a moment. Oh my God. And everything melts. It's like all of a sudden we went from the frozen tundra to the Sahara Desert. Everything melts. And then the teaching can begin.
Yeah, the inside out. It's like we usually start when we talk about compassion or being impeccable with our word, with how we're externalizing that to others. And if you think about that there is no other, then you can't have a duality of sort of your own existence where there's the punishment on the inside and the altruism on the outside. There's a friction to that. And what's amazing about it is like only you know, right? I think Ram Dass called that the privacy of your own heart. It's like he's called that the real work.
Yes. Oh, that's so nice. The privacy.
Because it is. It's like, and so it's like, why not take those leaps? Why not come with a radical gentleness? Because no one will know, and it is quite a profound experience to think about how am I impeccable with my word inside my own heart, my own mind. And because also when they talk about like love everybody, tell the truth.
Yeah.
So that's love yourself, but tell the truth also to yourself. And it gets in this whole trippy idea of what does it mean to embody a kind of truth internally when you've got this inner dialogue where some people might feel they're just pushing something away, but where's that line between just like loosening the grip or letting it go? You're not like forcing anything, you're just sort of loving it, holding it all.
Yes. I can't really improve upon what you've just said. I'm just gonna let it sit there.
It's just all that stuff about, I don't know, we all feel so separate, and so we're always thinking, it's about how I treat others and all these things in the world, and all that's important, but I've always come back to in my own process that all meaningful change in the world, there's no way around this, like comes from the individual outward. It's just we get into these collective agreements, but it always starts in the heart, one person at a time. And so it's sort of like that work to me feels very, very important at a time when more or less we're looking for answers from the top down.
That's
like maybe we'll get a new president and those things matter, but I'm just saying it's not going to change your internal process that much.
That's right. That's well said. There isn't, and also there isn't anything that a little hit of nature can't heal when it comes to all that mind churn, As you know, just get the hell outside. Even if you're in a city, like go touch, hug a tree, sit under a tree. Like if that's been your experience for the last few days and you're too much caught up in all of that stuff, put your face in the sun, put your ass under a tree, and just spend a few minutes.
Yeah, I was so blessed, especially one of the benefits of the pandemic was not touring as much, which was tough on the revenue stream, but I got to spend a lot of time down in southern Utah as a crow flies, not too far from where you are, the Four Corners. And man, I mean, talk about life amplified, or what's the license plate? Life elevated. That's a great one. It's only second to Live Free or Die as my favorite one.
Right.
But I just was into canyons and all the crazy rocks and the huge vistas and the
Yeah.
animals and the weather.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's
The
hard not to
weather.
be humbled, you know?
Yeah. The weather. It's interesting how this kind of landscape is both totally humbling and also utterly expansive and makes you feel like you could accomplish anything. There's such
Yeah.
a cool paradox in that. I love that you brought that up. For some reason, I'm thinking about the 10 laws right now. Where did those come from, by the way? I never asked you that.
So my friend named Court Johnson, who lives in Santa Barbara, he's a mystic of sorts. He lives up in the hills. I think
That's
he's
his
probably in his
voice.
70s now.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't give a fuck and doesn't do anything really in the world, but people come to him and he gives readings and he taps in to sort of
You.
call it the Akashic or whatever through a series of muscle testing and copious amounts of coffee and tobacco and marijuana.
Awesome.
Yeah, all day long. And he's just,
Oh my
and he
God.
says he's cleaning his blood and all this stuff. And
Yes.
so
He's not
he
really
just,
doing that, but he really is tapping into something.
yeah. Well, he got throat cancer, and
Ay,
he's
ay,
like, he
ay.
says it wasn't because of the tobacco. He says it because I was angry. And he's like, and he says, besides, when I got to the hospital, everyone he met, every nurse, every doctor, he started doing readings for them, and they'd stay for like 3 hours in his room. And he's like, that's where, you know, it's all past lives and soul stuff to him. He's like,
I
oh,
get that. I actually get that. I'll
yeah.
roll with that for him.
Yeah. And so everyone he meets, it's just like, oh my God. Ah, yes, yes, yes. 6th level king soul. Oh, 2,000 years ago, I saw you here. Oh, I can't believe I've seen you again. So wonderful.
Wow.
Oh, yes, yes. We were the blank and blank. And he just starts
Oh
going
my
through it.
gosh.
He can't help himself. And
Oh, bless him. I want to go see him. Let's go.
yeah, he's a treasure. But he's also a total crank and court jester and a trickster. He's a total trickster
Yeah.
energy. You
Yeah.
know, he'll give you a reading for 4 hours and at the end say, you know, it's all a metaphor. I don't expect you to believe any of it.
Right.
I was like, yeah, of course it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really funny. So he said he gave you those 10 laws. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I mean, he was just riffing, and I was recording it. It was the first time I met him, and that was one of the many things he said. And he has many lists, and he has this 100-room psychology, and it's all written down, and each room has different words and numbers. So he'll say to you like, and the continuance of this conversation will be informed by the next 2 numbers, and you're supposed to just sort of not think. So like 2, 9. Two is like resolution or sexual resolution, and 9 is mastery, and then the next 2 words, and so you're sort of just pulling things out of your unconscious mind.
Wow.
Whimsical and walking, and then he starts being like, okay, would you rather be whimsical or walking? And he starts using that as a doorway while he's clearing ghosts in the room, and while he's reading your energy and blockages, and it's pretty interesting. Actually, he was on my podcast, which was incredible because I had him on Zoom, and he'd never been on Zoom before, and he was just ecstatic to be on Zoom. And it's an amazing episode where I just let him go.
Right.
And if you want to go into his world, listen to that, because it's just him doing his thing.
Wow. Okay. And that's what episode? I'm writing it down.
Oh, I don't know. It's a few back, but you'll find it. It's just Court Johnson, Mr. 10 Laws or something like that.
Got it. Okay.
Vernon Cortland Johnson is his name. He's an amazing... He grew up in Santa Barbara, like back when it had dirt roads. And his family traveled around the world on a school bus. And they met like Khrushchev and became famous. This hippie school bus thing where they shipped it on barges and stuff.
Wow.
And he draws art for Powell Peralta skateboards, and he has for like 20, 30 years. He's a pretty famous
cool.
artist. Yeah.
That's cool. And the 10 laws, do you remember them?
Yeah.
Always be ready for cold, always be ready for heat.
Well, always see the dangers first, and then always protect your feet. Always be ready for cold, always be ready for heat. Always know where good water or source is.
Right.
Always know your place, always master the skills necessary, always get the job done, always disallow foolishness. That's my favorite.
That's
And
great.
always rest whenever you can.
Right,
Yeah.
rest whenever you can. That's my
Yeah.
fave.
I like the fool one because it's helpful when I'm dealing with people that I feel like it's like, this is just foolishness. I need to just push this aside. I don't need to engage. And it helps me kind of not feel bad about basically not engaging with things that feel like a fool. Just kind of, it's not like judging it too much. It's like, that just feels like foolish energy.
Prioritizing.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, because you have to make those decisions.
Exactly. And then when it came to working with Ram Dass, I know we talked about it on the episode in which I interviewed you previously.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the most important thing that you, now in hindsight, walked with from that collaboration?
Probably the combination of him continually talking about witnessing the show go by and sort of sitting
Beautiful.
in the seat of the soul.
Yeah,
And that was that's very different than trying to change anything.
for sure.
Yeah, and that goes in conjunction with this idea of loving things, like loving your dark thoughts, and the same idea as opposed to shifting it or changing it or transforming it. It's like loving it. So again, I tend to shift that back into my internal practice. I have a lot of self-critical thoughts growing up and depression and things, and so it became more now, what does it feel like to see that?
Right.
And this is basic meditation stuff, this mindfulness, right? But it's sort of the ability we have in our minds to step away and see that, like that self-awareness is what makes us so profoundly unique, theoretically. And how do we use that as a tool to just hold things as they are? Another phrase he said that I just love, he was sitting with someone, maybe it was Pete Holmes or something, and he said, he just said, he was old, so he couldn't say much. He said, just this. Just
Love
this.
that. Just this.
And it's like, yes, just this. Like this is the juicy meat of the wonderful, just this.
Yeah. Yeah. So beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm super, super psyched to help share his work, in a pointed way. There's lots of really good stuff coming out soon in the coming year.
Yeah, I have another track coming out that we haven't actually announced, so I can't say too much about it, but it's a collaborative track with this other artist that I'm like, is one of these things where like someone I've been a fan of, and then I got introduced to them, which can happen, which is cool, but usually it's just like, hey. And then the person's like, yeah, I'd like to talk to you. I'm a fan. I'm like, excuse me?
What?
You know who I am?
Oh, I'm dying to know who this is. You have to text me straight away.
And then we're hanging out on Zoom just to say hi. And then we're like just chatting on Zoom. I'm like, this is weird. This is cool. We're just like hanging out. And then I was like, hey, you want to do another Ram Dass song? Like I have this old 1970s sample that is unbelievable. And then they're like, yeah. And then it happens. And then it's like the greatest track ever. And I'm just like, this is going to change lives, this track.
Wow.
So the magic continues.
Wow. I'm really excited. I didn't know there was more. They said last night that they have some collaborations with other artists, for new tracks, but I didn't realize you have another one. You know how you got your praises were sung last night. There was a seven or eight of us who are now going to be ambassadors for the work, ongoing books, tracks, whatever, just to help.
Cool.
Yeah. And, I'm really excited to say that several of us were like, yeah, those East Forest tracks. I was like, that's my guy.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah. Ram.
It's a great community. I mean, I was really getting used to seeing everybody going out to Maui, and I would talk about a blessed life that was getting to be real nice, and it became like a family, and it's been sad not to be able to see. I mean, we saw Roshi Joan Halifax was at the Taos Temple grand opening. That was where Ram Dass went for the first time. He left Maui in like, I don't know how many years. It was amazing. It took like a private plane and 4 doctors, but they got him there.
Wow.
And she was there.
Yeah.
So it was just this great community of people.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it circling around. It's such a beautiful, it's just such a beautiful way to honor him with our level of connectivity and consciousness in his sort of wake. I mean, I don't mean wake like wake before a funeral, but wake like in the wake of a wave.
Yeah, and everyone was sad that he died, and also there's feelings of it's okay too, given where he was at in his journey. But I'm also, on some level, like glad he didn't have to go through this everything that happened after he died. It was like pretty intense.
I don't know anything about that. Tell me more.
Well, he died around, I think it was the 27th of December. So not quite, well, Jesus, it's almost a year. And then we went into like Pandemicville and super upheaval, social upheaval of different kinds. And I know he would have been headfirst in all of it, but at the same time, I don't know. I just feel like, I feel something has shifted a bit. And
I see what you're saying now. You're glad that he is not here for that.
At that age, what he was going through, I don't know. It feels like a turning of a page that we went through as a people, as a civilization this last year.
I get that.
And he spoke so perfectly, and he's more relevant now and growing in popularity every month with young folks especially, which is amazing, right?
Yeah. There were a lot of younger kids.
Yeah, like 20-year-olds and stuff.
We are now the burgeoning elders, dude. But there were a lot of kids in their 20s and 30s, and it was really nice to see.
They're pumped.
Yeah, they're pumped, and they were watching one of the kids was watching the footage of him on his dad's lawn up in the Northeast during the summers after he came back from India when he was teaching. And he was like, "Wow, dude, it was so rad." And I'm like, yeah, I'm even a generation removed from that. And I'm feeling like, wow, that was such a pivotal moment. And none of those people sitting on that grass had any idea.
No.
So interesting.
It goes to show you how that happens all the time. And it's just like, just kind of soak in what's happening, because you look back, even the beliefs you have. Typically, we look back and we're like, wow, yeah, I've shifted those a bit, or I can't believe I thought that 20 years ago. It makes me not hold on to what I think and feel now as much.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's really well said.
It humbles me to be like, what do I know? I just, it's more about hopefully the energy I'm putting out than what I have to say.
Yeah. I get that too. Funny.
Are you hopeful about where things are going, or is it a mixed bag of feeling?
Oh no, I'm extremely hopeful. Like beyond hopeful. I'm actually knowing that it's going to be fine. It always is. It always has been.
Yeah, we've always muddled our way through everything.
Always. Go look back at the Spanish flu. If you're listening to this and you're not hopeful, look back at the Spanish flu. I mean, everyone was wearing a mask and they made it out. It's going to be okay. I am keenly aware of the frontline medical workers, because Jonas Ba is a doctor and he is going through it right now. Most of these hospitals are at or close to capacity, and it's a scary thing going into Christmas time when people are going to be traveling again and moving around recklessly.
It is.
And, that's kind of where my attention sits squarely there at this point, early December 2020, and on Georgia, obviously. Going to do more phone banking this weekend for John Ossoff. And
Yeah.
just hope that the Senate really does turn so that we have our choices, shall we say, intact.
Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. It's I mean, not to get into the weeds of the politics, but I heard that one of the Democratic Senate guys, didn't he get in like a sexting scandal? And
Yeah.
that kind of, it's been hurting him in the polls. It's like, and did he ever think
Oh my
that
God.
that
Let's talk about Trump for a second. My
sex, I know,
God.
but I'm just saying though, just think about this, a couple sex, even in the moment, I'm sure it was just like, whatever. And now it's like, it's possible the balance of
Of
power
power in
and
the
legislation,
government.
like, is all comes to that.
Totally.
Potentially.
But remember that time?
Yeah, I remember that dick pic. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
how do you feel about that?
Yeah. Oh my God. It's really funny. I mean,
Yeah.
funny, not funny.
It's just a cosmic joke, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's we got to remember that it's part of campus Earth and
Campus Earth.
the trickster energy that weaves through it all.
I love that you just said that. It does feel like that right now. I mean, I know it doesn't feel like that to my friends who are nurses. Or maybe it does, I don't know. But there is that sort of overarching like ridiculousness. Inescapable ridiculousness.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's a both and, you know, the sacred and the profane. So it's not discounting any of the suffering and that we want to change it, but it's like, come on. I mean, it's the whole Trump thing is just so over the top. You couldn't dream it up. Like the ultimate court jester, you know, the emperor with no clothes kind of thing. And we keep going. We keep muddling through.
Yeah. I've just been I spent just about 15 minutes. I gave myself, I think it was 10 or 15 minutes, just looking over, like, where's Melania right now? For some reason. She's exactly my age. And like, what is she going through right now? And there's no word. No news.
Yeah. And I mean, I have to think whatever she signed up for a long time ago, there was, you know, it wasn't like things changed. You know what I mean? He's been the same guy.
She signed up for something specific.
Yeah, there was a self-serving thing going on there for sure.
Yeah.
Whatever she feels, it's like she's not absconded of responsibility on that level.
Yes, that I get.
Well, I'm just curious too, if since you're sort of so deeply embedded in the yoga community and the kind of shifts it's gone through with the obvious ones with COVID, but also sort of on social justice and stuff. Where are you feeling things are at in that community and where it might be heading into the new year and beyond?
Well, all the yoga studios have closed.
Yeah.
And everyone is teaching online. And I think the main thrust right now is actually in getting the folks at home who are studying with the teachers who are online, like myself, getting them to have their own home practice outside of their online practice. As much as this is, I love connecting with my students, and I do it, at least once a week to teach. But I think this is the perfect time to develop our own home practice, our own steady inner trust, and I think that's the yoga community is just going to have to go there because classes aren't an option. Studio life isn't an option. And it really never was a viable prospect for any studio owner. Every single studio owner knows they were never going to be like saving a whole bunch of money. They would make it and they would be even perhaps profitable, but it was never going to be a way to, retire or save money.
Sure.
So I think commercially speaking, I could not even hazard a guess. But personally, I feel like, you know what? You can take great classes a few times a week, have your own practice in the morning. It's the best. It's the greatest gift I give to myself in the days.
If someone feels unmotivated or all those things, the resistance is really strong.
Yeah.
What like me? What would you recommend? What's like an approachable doorway of whether asana or not, of just like
Child's
morning
pose.
something?
Child's
Child's
pose.
pose. Yes, I love it.
Literally get into child's pose and just stay there for as long as you need to. I have gotten into child's pose and fallen the fuck asleep in child's pose first thing in the morning. I'll be
Those
like
hips are open when you're
snoring.
done. Yeah.
Dude, snoring in my child's pose. And then I come up and I come into cat cow, and suddenly I find myself, 15, 20 an hour later, having done a full practice, precisely what my body needed. And it was seamless, But lots of my practices start in child's pose.
I love child's pose so much.
The best.
Yeah. The best. Why is it called that? Do you know why?
No.
Is it because you're sort of in a fetal position, kind of? Like
Balasana. It's the pose of the child. I have no clue.
Huh. Well, it definitely brings forth a feeling of innocence and simplicity and rest, which I like. Like rest from all the machine of being an adult and all that stuff.
Yeah. That's well said. I hope that the listener, are you listening? Child's pose, resting from adulting.
That's how it feels for me.
Enjoy it. It's very beneficial for you. It's not a cop out. It's not a weakness. It's the smartest thing.
Well, anything else you want to leave this on? Anything else we want to touch on? What are we feeling like needs to be said? I have something.
I think I have something too. You go right ahead. Mine is about creativity. Go ahead.
Yeah. Mine is about something I've been thinking about as we went through a lot of the Black Lives Matter stuff, and about spiritual bypass and it sort of touches on this like conspiracy stuff and that in the spiritual community, but how we can hold the truths of everything's okay, everything is all one, everyone is love, and social action at the same time. Dalai Lama talks about this stuff, and there's something there where it's like, well, we want to be engaged on our inner journey and those truths. And this is the mystery, essentially what we're talking about, but also ameliorating suffering, doing what we can, actually taking some forms of action in the world. There's a friction there. There's a dichotomy. But I think it's an important thing. I'm just curious what you had to say about it.
Friction is one of the most important things that we can welcome, into our space. Friction means heat. Heat means transformation. Mm-hmm. Transformation means that we are, there's change happening, and change is always good. That's it. Like, don't shy away from the fact that let me put it on myself. I can't shy away from the fact that my dear friends are diametrically opposed to me and won't even return my calls in certain cases, in certain texts, in certain people. They won't even return my texts or calls. I still have to hold the clarity that I love them, and I don't hold that against them.
Is this because of differences you have or something?
Yeah. They're fully on the other side of the fence, politically and also in the conspiracy realm. To be able to hold both of as we talked about earlier, to be able to hold both of those truths is very important for me right now. I do not want to be the person who holds a grudge and dies from the sickness that lands in my cells from the grudge.
Wow, what if the art of attention these days is like holding contradictory truths, which seems like, well, then they're not both true. It's like, no, that's the point. It's like you just allow these things to be.
That's right. That's right. That's how we should leave this, because that's the work right now. Allow your parent who voted for Trump, allow your sister who voted for Biden, if you're on the other side, which I seriously doubt if you're listening this far, allow them to have their opinion and their values. And then you stay in your lane and you be courteous and cool.
And I'm going to add a layer to that because this is ties into conversations around racial justice, social justice, all of it, political. Allow people to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And allow us, that's how we learn. It's like, it's okay to say the wrong thing and then we talk. You educate, we discuss, we explore. Just allow a process to happen. Allow education and growth and change to, like you said, it's the constant of the universe. So it's like, you can't snap your fingers. There's no destination. It's just a process of learning and growing.
That's right. Exactly right.
Well, I'm happy for you that you're in the Southwest because I know what that's like. It's so good. No offense to New Yorkers, but it's so much better. And
it's just different. Here's the thing.
It's great. It's great.
The sky is more open. The color, the lights, the space. There's the assault on my body from all of the external, from pathogens in the subway to the
noise.
The noise and the car pollution. My skin has completely changed.
Brake dust. Yeah.
For real. All that
no
stuff.
Doubt. You are in rarefied air, Elena, and it's and you're higher up too, so
we're
it's
at like
more ionized.
7,600.
Yeah, it's just it's this the sun is stronger and everything's more charged, like literally.
Yeah.
So good on you. I'm happy for you.
Thanks, dude. I feel thankful and I feel very ready to have you come and visit.
Yeah, I look forward to that. I have a friend in Santa Fe, outside with Galliano, I think it's called, little town.
Galisteo,
that is it. And I stayed there once at her place. It's awesome.
Yep.
Another person who is on my podcast, Lorraine Weiss, who plays the saxophone on the Ram Dass record on like Love Everybody and A Miracle.
Bless.
She's amazing. And she lives out there and does deep work with people with her saxophone and stuff in Santa Fe.
Any woman who plays the sax, period.
Right?
Wow.
I mean, when I met her through Ivy, we hit it off. And I was like, I've got to record you. We've got to play. And it wasn't going to happen because she doesn't drive and she's older and her leg is messed up. And then like months later, she's like, so there's a wedding in Zion someone's taking me to that seems close to you. And I'm like, well, it's 4 hours, 3 hours away, but it's close. And then someone volunteered to drive me to Boulder. And I'm like, it's on, let's do this. And we recorded all that stuff on the record.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Wow.
It's meant to be.
Yeah, totally. I'm happy for you that, last thing I'll say, and then I'll let you go. I'm happy for you that you have had that connection to that project. That is it's not some sort of coincidental boon that you got to do that. That's all I'll say.
It has unfolded and is continuing to unfold. It's just like a blossoming flower that keeps blossoming. And it's changed my life too, because he named me Krishna and I've embodied that name. And so it's like, that's connected to that experience forever.
I love that he named you Krishna. So cute.
Yeah, that was funny. Well, thanks. Thanks, Elena. It's always good to connect.
It's always the best. And I really appreciate all of the work that you've done and how I have This Is East Forest saved on my Spotify. And we play it like at least 4 times a week during making up dinner.
Oh, it warms my heart.
It should. It should. We're always thinking of you.
Well, we've been walking together a long time. I look forward to continuing to walk each other home, as Mr. Dass would say.
Yes. It's our 10-year anniversary next year on November 11th. 11.
That's right.
Maybe
right.
we'll have the occasion to do something together that day.
That'd be cool.
That would be
somewhere
cool.
somewhere out there. It'd be cool.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, thanks.
Most welcome. I'm so glad to be with you and talk again soon.
Thank you, Elena, for coming on the show. It's always a joy to talk to you. This song that you're hearing in the background is actually called For Elena, and it's for this said Elena, because this song was from a ceremony, but she ended up using it for her meditation series that she sells on her website, and I did the music for it and mixed it for her. And we settled on using pieces of this song for the meditative music in the background. And we did so many iterations and worked on it so deeply that for me in my mind, I was like, this song now is totally associated with Elena Brower. So I called it For Elena. And it is on the album Music to Be Born To. Where you can listen to that wherever you listen to music. And you can check out everything in the show notes to see links to Elena's world. It's a deep world. And she's got 2 meditation series that she has, I believe, on her website for sale, and East Forest Music is in both. All right, friends. I encourage you to keep walking with the grace that is you, to eat a little more ice cream, do some more yoga, a headstand if you can, and keep walking your walk. Don't take any shit, but if you do, do it with grace.